Good evening. Once again, my name is Alpheaus, and I'd like to welcome you to Truth to Power for an Urban Agenda. Today, one of my guests, I'm happy to say, Ms. Joycelyn Talor. She's running for mayor, and what I like about it is she's one of the people that's tired of what's going on in politics and is willing to make the change necessary for our communities. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Alpheaus, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
I appreciate the platform. I am Joycelyn Talor. As he mentioned, I am a 2021 New York City mayoral candidate. Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I've lived in Brooklyn all of my life. I'm a mom, a single mom. I'm a business owner. I've went to school in New York. And I'm an advocate for the small business community and just people at large who are disenfranchised and need someone to be a voice for them.
Yes.
And I grew up in NYCHA. I always have to mention that.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Because that's one of your platforms, NYCHA.
Yes.
And it's necessary because from what I've seen, and let me say this here, I've been advocating for NYCHA now for the last maybe 5-6 years. When the current administration and now the Attorney General is running around talking about private slumlords, we expose the city as being the biggest slumlords. Mm-hmm. You know, the people in NYCHA has been getting how can I say it, a raw deal for the longest. Mismanagement of funding, and it's probably taking place even when you was a resident.
Listen, when I lived in NYCHA, first of all, I grew up in NYCHA. So when I first lived in NYCHA, it was very different. We were one of the only black families in our building. Oh. Right? Because NYCHA originally was predominantly white people.
Okay.
But those people were able to obtain an opportunity to move out and move on to homes. But when it became primarily black people, it became more about, you know, business, as opposed to giving people opportunity for ownership, which people need because that creates stability. That creates longevity and wealth and legacy for families. So, you know, it was a lot different then. Part of the reason why I moved out is because they did stop disinvesting in NYCHA. And you could see it happening. Even in the way that they, you know, reinvented the playgrounds and they did some certain things. Your environment plays a huge part in who you are and how you behave.
Correct.
So if you go into buildings and you start putting jail colors and you set up the playgrounds and they're not inviting for kids anymore, right? You disconnect people from each other. When I lived in pink houses, we had a round circle in the middle of our buildings where the park was. You had building 3 there, you had building 4 there, you had building 9 there, you had building 10. That area was where we all come and congregate and play as kids and get to know each other. Yeah. When you take that away, you're taking away a sense of community to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So I think that for a long time, you know, the way that we've been dealing with NYCHA residents hasn't been to want to make them feel better or respect them or make them feel good about that space. Yeah. Right? We see developments all the time. When we were coming here, you know, we went by Clinton Hill condos, and it wasn't always condos. Beautiful. Looks like just like a housing development.
Yeah.
If that could be well maintained, you can't tell me NYCHA can't be well maintained.
Now, let me say this here to you. Me advocating for NYCHA, all right? What I say, I got a good rapport with Greg Russ, the chairman. I like the guy, and one thing I said to him, he's only here to fall on the sword. Another politician that was in charge of the chair of NYCHA was Richie Torres. I went with Richie Torres and I showed him several housing developments, even in his own district at the time, that was in foreclosure. NYCHA developments, city-owned, tax foreclosure. One of the developments now, the bank just sold off the properties to private developers for the purpose of making co-ops, push the people out. I've been pushing a HDFC program for NYCHA. The problem is trying to get residents on board, where they literally have an opportunity to reinvest in their community and actually own. Mm-hmm. Would you oppose that as mayor?
No, I wouldn't oppose it. And I think the way that we get residents on board is that we understand that not everything is one size fits all, right? And maybe not every resident will want to do it, but we have to be able to build out a model that meets people where they're at, right? And figure out a way to do it that you might be able to have a mixed model. But it's all about making sure we're all on the same page, that it's about community. And I think the other thing that we need is that we need more effective communication as it relates to what that means. Because for a lot of people, ownership is scary, right? Mm-hmm. When I bought my home, listen, the day of the closing, I was waiting for the shoe to fall. I was like, are these people really am I really going to own a home? The prospect of that is really scary for some people, and I get it. I understand it. But if you have someone that's willing to take you by the hand and say, listen, don't worry. Because people feel like if you own something, or if you have a mortgage, you might end up losing your house. But listen, the same thing could happen when you're renting, right?
Yep, exactly.
The same thing could happen when you're renting. And we have to teach them the value add. Because when you own something, you have a mortgage that's set for 30 years. You don't have to worry about certifying your apartment every year. You don't have to worry about if you get married, now your income and his income, the city has to get 30% of it. See, that's the model that's going to always keep you broke. Because no matter how much money you make, the city automatically is getting 30 cents on every dollar.
Right.
Right? So it's part of that is educating people to get them to understand that it may look like this is a good thing for you, but it's all smoke and mirrors. And it's designed to keep you at a certain place because you can't grow like that. If I'm working 40 hours a week and I decide, you know what, I want to buy a home. I'm going to work an extra 20 hours and save money. Out of that 20 hours, the city is still getting 30%. The way the system is designed, it's not designed for you to do better. So I think that we definitely should go to that model because it'll allow people to create real legacy. Legacy is not transferring your Section 8 certificate to your children.
Oh, that's the next
right?
one. No, that's the next one. That's the next question. I'm going.
So it'll allow people to create real legacy, but we have to let them get over their fears. And how they get over their fears is that we help them.
Yeah.
We give them information and we show them how it's done,
yeah.
right? And we let them know that we're going to be a support to them to make sure that when we do this, we're going to have positive results.
Because one thing about the HDFC program, right, it's just a state law, state program under Title, I believe, 11, right? It's for low income. It's cooperatives where they literally become shareholders, which is something within the parameters of the 2011 public health law to which the federal government stopped funding public housing. And New York City literally is like one of the last states with public housing as we know it, right? They want to implement RAD. Make no mistakes about it, RAD will come, whether people like it or not. It's a federal law. It's going to go to all federally funded housing development. It's going to happen. The problem is they're going to force it on people opposed to allowing people to actually take the alternative, which again is the HDFC program. Because either way you put it, it's about the development getting, getting the maintenance that they're supposed to get. With the HDFC program, they get a loan for each development, and what they end up doing is 25 years they pay it back. Every apartment that they sell off is 60-40. The city gets 60%, 40% goes towards the repairs of the development, or it's vice versa. But the money that they make off the apartments go back into actually revitalizing the development. I think that's a better plan than what they're pushing. Like, I seen a form the other day where one of the candidates, he was a part of the Obama administration. And I'm looking at the form and I'm saying, this guy's lying. Like, it had me so upset because I'm saying he's lying. He sounds like a politician. He's playing with people's livelihoods. And that's something that we don't need. We don't need traditional politicians.
No, we don't.
Because the everyday people want to have somebody that they can rely on. Grant that you got to, deal with the budget, but you got your comp controller for the budget. But the people want to know that they have somebody that can relate to them because...
Listen, your environment plays a huge part in your ability to learn.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're not creating a peaceful, a safe, clean environment where, a nice environment, that's going to have an impact. So if we want to create equity, it's not just about who we place, where we place these kids. We have to place the money in the schools and give the kids the resources that they need.
I like that. Tell the people your platform for New York as mayor.
Well, my platform for New York as mayor is to be people first. My mom used to always say, it doesn't matter what it is, how much you have, but it's what you do with what you have. And we have to use that model and apply it to the city of New York, especially during this time when we're going through a pandemic. We have to look at the city's budget and we have to reshift our priorities. And I feel like when I am mayor, our priorities will be everything is related to people first. We have to create jobs and opportunities for people. We want to address policing. Well, you know how you stop crime? You give people opportunities. You give them jobs. You give them something to do. That's how you stop crime. So that's where my thinking is. And my thinking is that I want to hear from the people because I am just a representative of the people when I'm mayor, right? And I don't have all the answers. I don't. And I shouldn't be implementing things that make people's lives miserable. And the reality of the situation is that that's what has happened. And as human beings, we have to do better. It makes no sense that us as human beings, we go around implementing things that make us miserable.
Imposing.
Yeah. I mean, think about that logically.
Yeah.
We have the ability to create whatever it is that we want.
Yeah.
And I believe that we can create better.
Yeah. I've walked around New York City. I've seen so many apartment buildings that the city can actually go in, make the offer, fix it up, and put people in. They have failed to do so. Mm-hmm. I've sat with all the, the big heads and all that, and it seems like they want to do the job, but somewhere within the system, they hit that roadblock where they get discouraged. And I think this administration has shown us that it's them first, everybody else afterwards. You know? And I think literally grassroots is the best way.
Yeah, and I think that it's a system that's not working. It's a system where we have used laws and policies and procedures to tie our hands and make us inactive, to give us an excuse not to do something. So if we've implemented something and it's not working for the people, then we need to scrap it because it doesn't work for the people. It's not operating the way that it was designed to operate. Everything that we do should make people's lives better. It should not make them, have strife, have struggle. It should make their lives better. Listen, I brought up the situation with the Jewish community and how, they build a co-op and condos there to say this. We already have a model of how it's being done.
Yeah.
How can we replicate that model in other communities? That's what we need to ask ourselves and stop making excuses for these things can't happen. We have instances throughout the city, state, country, this world where people are living in, a decent manner. They're living hopeful and purposeful lives. Let's replicate that.
I like that. And, the time is of essence. I appreciate you coming. I look forward to seeing more.
I appreciate you having me.
I look forward to seeing more of you. Literally.
Listen, I look forward to being seen more.
And, anything I can do to help out, just call.
I appreciate it. And if anyone wants to support, I ask everybody to go to all of my social media, like you mentioned a number of times. This is a grassroots effort.
Give
So
it to 'em.
go to my social media at Talor42021 and like and follow all of my social media. Invite your friends and family to do so as well. And also, if you can, I know times are tough, but please try to make a $10 donation to the campaign. This is a grassroots effort. It is for the people. It is about the people. This is only going to happen, you know, if you all want to make it happen. So I am here for the people, and I just hope that we are able to create momentum, join the movement, so we can create some change in this city.
And with that, that's what Truth to Power is about. And like I said, grassroots is the best way, the only way, because we become loyal to our communities opposed to being loyal to a party. Thank you, and enjoy your night.
Thank you.